It's not one single thing that brought us here. Yes, Kroger is making a deliberate move to improve profitability. They've been very clear about that. And yes, crime is an issue. While recently crime rates have been coming down from their historic high of 5 years ago, especially in Washington State and King County, they are still too high. Kent has been to the legislature asking for support. In fact, we've been there twice with Fred Meyer, standing arm in arm, saying that the policies and laws that have been implemented in the state of Washington disproportionately impact cities like Kent and our ability to provide public safety to our community. The state legislature failed to meaningfully support our community year after year. I have pled with King County government to help us address retail theft as well as hold criminals accountable, but we have not had the partnership that we need. King County has made decisions that negatively impact sales tax base in Kent, as well as implemented policies that make our city less safe. They have not positively invested in South King County. Kent has been doing everything in our power and with our limited resources to combat these decisions, and we are making incremental change. In the case of Fred Meyer and other local retailers, it has proven to be too little, too late. We can't do this alone. We need the support and investment of King County and the state of Washington. I'm here today with our next executive, King County Executive Claudia Balducci, because I know she will truly be a partner. On Monday, when this news broke, she reached out to me immediately because she knew this was going to affect the city of Kent. Claudia is the candidate who is standing here with us to enact real solutions that will help combat issues like retail theft at the scale that we need. That's why she has my support and the support of 10 other mayors in South King County who are grounded in making people's lives better and addressing the problems that are real day in and day out. South King County will be decisive in this election. People here are tired of being ignored. Under Claudia's leadership, I know that we will finally have a King County government that works for all of us.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm going to switch it up and give my own remarks next. I want to thank you all again for coming out. Of course, the announcement of the Kent Fred Meyer closure was devastating, and it was a hard bit of news for the people of this community, as it has been in all of the areas impacted by this week's closure announcements. When we lose a neighborhood grocery store, we lose access to healthy foods, but not just that. It's harder for seniors to get their medications, busy parents to pick up meals and other things they need. We lose jobs for working people. Many people are getting the news that they're going to lose their jobs this week. And as the mayor said, there are complex reasons why any given store closes. But it's unacceptable when those reasons include public safety and crime, because these are preventable problems that we must and can do more about. And it's not only large grocery stores that are affected by retail crime. I hear almost weekly from small businesses in my district and throughout King County about the challenges that they have with retail theft, continual, ongoing, uninterrupted retail theft. And it is very hard for a small business to manage that kind of loss. They don't have the bank accounts that the larger firms do. And so it is really devastating for them. And we can do something about it. The people of Kent and throughout King County deserve leadership from King County government that prevents retail theft, protects local jobs, and ensures we do not worsen food access and food deserts that we know already impact 10% of county residents. So I'm here today with an announcement. I will be proposing a dedicated funding stream from the recently adopted county sales tax to combat retail theft. And I just want to say for a moment, we've already adopted, as I said, this tax. We know we have the money coming in. It is not new money needed, but we have not decided how we're going to spend it yet. And I just want to take a quick moment to recognize and thank Representative Chris Stearns, who's here with us today, from the legislature and the legislature itself, for giving us this tool to use to improve our response to public safety. As executive, I will also advance policies within the Sheriff's Office to enhance coordination and support for our local law enforcement agencies. That's a fancy way of saying we need to work together better with our cities. There are 39 cities in King County. Many of them have their own police departments. Some contract with King County, and we have our own law enforcement responsibilities. When we work together, we have better results. All right. So, the proposal is, I'm going to say it from memory because my notes are all a mess. Thank you. Is to fund 3 positions, 2 detectives and 1 prosecuting attorney as a permanent retail crimes task force that will provide coordination and support to directly address the causes of retail theft and respond to it with the goal of dramatically reducing retail theft in King County. This is a proven approach that has been piloted before, that has shown promise where it has been implemented, and we're going to make it permanent with the vote of the county council in order to avoid more closures like we are seeing here today. We shouldn't go grocery shopping, and our grocery workers shouldn't go to work and worry about robbery and theft. We shouldn't worry about sending our kids to the market and experiencing violence, and no one should be anxious about how they are going to be able to buy food and the necessities of life. The way the county can lead is needed, it's overdue, and I'm very excited about this proposal, and to now ask Sheriff Surar, former Sheriff Surar, to say a few words about how this sort of approach can work. Welcome, Sue. Thanks.
Thanks, Claudia. Good morning, everybody. I wouldn't be here dressed in real work clothes unless I felt really strongly about this. And I want to emphasize that retail theft is a complex regional issue, and it's critical that we approach it as a regional issue. If we do it that way, we can better identify organized groups and their methods, and we can aggregate case filings to illuminate the depth of the problem to the courts. So when these retail theft rings are being held accountable, the court can clearly see how many cases are together. The county is ideally situated to coordinate a smart, strategic approach to the crime problem that plagues all of our communities. If every jurisdiction just operates independently, it's less efficient, it creates redundant work, and it wastes limited resources. We also miss the trends and patterns and opportunities to hold the kingpins accountable. The task force approach enables police to better distinguish and focus on the organized predatory retail theft rings for prosecution, while still allowing local jurisdictions to use their community support and intervention strategies when individual acts are committed out of desperation. Retail theft is complex. One size doesn't fit all. In King County, we have an example that serves as a proof of concept for regionalizing our approach. The King County Prosecutor's Office recently utilized a grant to add a prosecutor and help coordinate retail theft cases across the county. They quadrupled the case filings by linking cases that were spread across multiple jurisdictions. Unfortunately, that grant has run out and that position has been eliminated. Councilmember Balducci's proposal could restore that position, as well as add 2 regional detectives to better coordinate the investigation between agencies. In my experience, this smart strategic approach still allows for a compassionate response at the local level when it's called for, and it more effectively holds accountable the kingpins of these retail theft rings that are using an army of shoplifters to do their dirty work. Let's get at the people who are really making the money in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just a few final words and then we'll take questions. Obviously, there's a lot more that we have to do. We have to address food deserts, which are caused by many factors, certainly not just retail crime. We have land use to work on. We have investments that we need to do. For crimes rooted in poverty, people who shoplift because they can't afford diapers or for basic sustenance, the county can also help and has a role providing access to resources and support. But today, we're here to say we can do all of these things and also push back on retail crime that exacerbates problems in our communities. So with that, I'd like to stop and take some questions. Okay.
What's the estimated cost of reposition? What's the financial benefit
We haven't done a detailed budget, but I'm going to say it's approximately $600,000 a year for this kind of a program. And of the funding, so if we were to take the funding source has got many millions of dollars per year, and if we were to use what we've talked about using to avert cuts in our public safety agencies, there would still be $19 million a year. So we're talking about taking about $600,000 out of $19 million. We have more than enough resource to do this.
How quickly can this take effect?
That is an excellent question. I would love to do this tomorrow. We're voting on our budget in the fall, and if we vote this budget in the fall, I would hope to see it ramp up early next year.
What is the specific evidence that this particular Fred Meyer is posing as a theft?
So I'm not as familiar with this specific Fred Meyer. I will say I think it's very clear that retail crime is a problem. It is not the only problem. I don't know if anybody else wants to share some more details, but yeah, please go ahead.
I think it's important to recognize the cautionary tale here, but look more broadly. If we convey that King County doesn't pay attention, doesn't follow through on retail theft, it escalates. I think the recent horrible takeover robbery in West Seattle is evidence that the thieves are becoming more and more brazen because they've come to expect a lukewarm response. And I think it's very important to us to convey that these crimes are serious, theft is serious, and there's a public safety risk. We don't have to choose between safety and compassion. We can have more than one way of responding to these crimes. I just think the Fred Meyer closing is something that elevates the issue in front of us right now.
What are your other priorities for that public safety tax beyond retail theft?
We're going to have a robust discussion about that, but there are some obvious places that are in need of investment, including victim support services, domestic violence response, and gender-based violence. We're going to have a very robust discussion amongst the council about how to spend them, but those are at least two other priorities that I would love to see us fund with that funding.
Why the late decision on the change in venue for this announcement?
We were trying to get everybody together in a place where we could be at our next things on time, and it was really hard to come up with a place, and that other place didn't work out, so we were here.
It had nothing to do with like the crime numbers being a little skewed from what was originally announced by Fred Meyer
Oh,
this week?
No. We just needed a place where we could all be at the same time.
What about that? Our police department's reporting some decreases in crime
Right.
around the stores. How do you reconcile that with what the stores say?
Yeah. So you will hear, and the city also is reporting that retail crime is on the way down. It's in the right direction. That's good. I would say that's partially in response to the fact that we had this dedicated approach for a period of time that has now gone away, and we're not where we need to be. And so let's get to a better place by making a modest investment to do that.
I can add a little bit of context to that, sorry. And I have talked about this all week. So the difference here is that corporations like Kroger, Fred Meyer, make decisions long range. So at the height, crime was extremely challenging in that area. We are making incremental change, but these decisions were made not last week, they were made probably at the height of those crime numbers. So I want to be really clear that we are not saying that there is no crime in that area. We are not saying that it's where we want it to be. It has come down, but these are long-term decisions made by companies like Kroger. And they have been very clear that crime is not the only factor. The interim CEO has been quoted saying that this is a shareholder decision. It's about profitability, and crime is one of the factors that they used in making those decisions on stores to close.
Obviously, a solution like this, we're talking about getting some of the money potentially early next year. I mean, these things take a long time to have effect. What is being done in
What are you doing?
community to address some of those concerns about putting residents in food desert, outside walking distance of medication?
So we're working on it. The minute that we got this notification, our economic and community development group went to work. The unfortunate thing is we found out about this at the same time as everybody else. I got an email at about 8 o'clock on Monday morning. So we've kicked into full gear. We're working on it. We're going to be meeting with Fred Meyer and their real estate folks to determine what their goals are for that property and share the goals that the city has, and that really is about meeting the needs of that neighborhood.
Dana, how do you see this new proposed retail crime task
it'll be significantly impactful to Kent. So we know that retail theft is driven by a lot of different things. The problem that we've got is our officers are on the ground doing the work, and what has historically been happening outside of this pilot is once those cases get pushed up to King County, there aren't the resources to then prosecute. So as you heard the former sheriff say, when the message is that nothing's going to happen, it just makes things worse. So we know that having a partner in King County, both in the sheriff's department and in the prosecutor's office, makes us all stronger, and it makes it more effective.
If I can add some quick context to crime statistics, you have to keep in mind those are averaged out across large geographical areas. Just because crime has gone down on the average, there are still hot spots where crime is more serious and there's a greater level of risk. By having a task force resource and people focusing on where the crime is happening, the people that need the help will get it, instead of just pretending like everybody's the same because the statistics have been averaged out. There's hot spots, we know that, and this helps us better focus on those hot spots.
Yeah. Other jurisdictions, I mean, I know the city of Seattle is talking about putting some of their sales tax towards things like treatment, towards sort of non-police solutions.
Yeah.
Are you supporting anything like that for King County sales tax?
We're going to have a series of discussions that I'm sure you will be very interested in over the next few weeks, that include discussions about how our human services funding is being spent. I think a combination of this sales tax and the very robust, over $1 billion a year that we invest in human services, mental health. We'll be talking about the renewal of the mental illness drug dependency. I want to see that all of these things together robustly fund the entire spectrum, from prevention, services, mental health, housing, jobs, the things that make people succeed, and response to criminal activity. And so I'm looking for how that all looks together. I would absolutely be open to spending some of this funding for that purpose if that makes sense to do so. But we're trying to put together a package, I think, that makes sense across all of our very large funding sources that we're going to be talking about through the fall.
And how does this proposal distinguish your position on sales tax from your opponent?
I would say that what I want to communicate today is, while we should be open, because the legislature made the definition of what this tax could be spent on broad, we should be open to the breadth of things that are needed in order to make a difference in our communities. But it was actually also intended to fund public safety. And I want to make sure that we are using it for that purpose in ways that will make a difference, like on retail theft, where we are losing grocery stores, we are losing small shops, and people are losing their jobs, and we can do better. I want to go back to the question about what this does to make things better in Kent and other jurisdictions. I represent other parts of King County, and I hear from the cities in my district that having a dedicated response team, and they have had a prosecutor for a temporary period of time, has been very helpful. And they wanted to see that continue because it helps to keep retail crime down. That's the purpose of this. I do not believe we do, no. Okay.
Retail theft is usually this might be a question for Public Sheriff Barr, it's usually a local issue, a misdemeanor crime. So
Yeah.
what is the purpose of focusing on petty theft at the county level?
So I can say one thing, and then I'll let you. A lot of the theft that we have been seeing is actually moves from place to place. And when you try to address it, just Kent was all on their own addressing issues within Kent, and then the activity moves to, say, Auburn, now Auburn is starting from zero. If we had a regional collaboration, we could follow that activity and be more effective at stopping it from moving around and getting it to end. And I will say, you use the phrase petty theft. I invite people to talk to the owner of a small business who gets robbed day in and day out and loses inventory and can't afford to replace it, and is hard-working people. Often our small business owners are immigrants, people of color, and we hear frequently that it's very hard for them to stay in business because there's no help for them. And so I would push back on the term petty. I know it's a term of art, but to the extent it suggests that this isn't a real problem. It is a real problem. It's a very real problem for our people.
If I can clarify, Erica, I think that's why the problem has gotten so large, is because these organized retail theft rings rely on the public believing that it's petty theft. We're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of merchandise being stolen and moved nationally and internationally. I think the mayor has an example where she saw a warehouse. What happens is these organized retail theft rings literally give shopping lists to people to go shoplift, and they warehouse these products that they know they can resell. We have to be careful about not creating the illusion that there's a little theft is okay. This is a little theft all put together into a giant, big problem. And I also want to reinforce the importance and the impact on small businesses. It's not just the large corporate businesses that are getting hit. We have small businesses here in Kent that have to take extraordinary efforts to protect themselves because they feel at risk.
If you have something that you want to say, yeah, please.
So the example that was just referenced, there was a storefront in Kent that represented itself as a pawn shop. What it really was a drop-off hub for people that were stealing from that said shopping list. So we need bottles of Tide or Instapot. So they were going into Target, taking shopping carts full of these items, going in and selling them as an individual. Then the organized theft ring had an actual warehouse where they had real employees who were getting paychecks and W-2s that were then inventorying and selling those products online. That was traced back to a foreign country. So it's multiple layers, and it starts with what people are saying is, again, petty theft, and it may be 2 or 3 things of Tide, it may be 4 boxes of diapers, but what that's being done is then they're selling that to get cash. That money is then those products are being sold on the larger market. So it is far more than somebody going in and stealing a candy bar. It's been a couple of years ago now that our detectives were able to break that case, and it, like I said, it led all the way up to a massive retail theft ring, and started with individuals stealing things from local stores, and that's really what the goal was to be able to put those products out online for sale.
Any other questions? All right. Again, thank you for coming out. I do want to encourage, there's a lot of data to be had from our prosecuting attorney's office. I encourage you to reach out to them if you would like to see that kind of information. And I'll just close by saying, just a personal, I think we all have these personal anecdotes. I talk to the people who work in my grocery store and the various retail outlets I go to, and they all have stories of people coming in, filling up carts full of stuff, and just walking out. Not running out, walking out, because they know that nothing's going to happen. It is an ongoing thing. We hear about it weekly, and I really think that part of this initiative will be to know the extent of the problem and to be able to report transparently to the public about how big it is, where it is, and whether our efforts are making a difference. And you can expect that that kind of reporting will continue as we go forward. So thank you all very much. And I think we're done. Done? Yes?
There's no more questions.
Okay, thank you all.